Good
Thank you,
morning,
Sandra.
everyone. You're
Good
welcome.
morning.
Good morning. So this is Sandra Arevalo, and I'm here at Montefiore Nyack Hospital. I'm the Director of Community Health and Wellness. And once again, this is Community Chats. So today we're going to be talking about a knock on the door can save lives. And you're probably wondering, what is that all about? And well, I'm not going to tell you. They're going to tell you. Our experts today are Sharon Martini and Elisa Tenorio Alvarez, and they both work for Rockland Department of Health, and it's the Office for the Aging. And they're going to be telling us about this program they work for. And we're very excited to have you girls. Thank you so much for joining. And just a reminder for our attendees that you can always participate, send us questions, send us comments. So this is a space that we really opened for the community so that we are able to bring information of all the programs that we have out there, any health issues that are there, for people to get more information. Because, I'm a firm believer that the more information you have and the more educated you are about health and resources, the healthier you're going to be and the more you're going to help yourself and your family. So that's why we're doing community chats. Okay, I'm talking too much, and this is not about me. This is about you girls. So Sharon, I'm sure you want to tell us a little bit about you and your role at DOH and how long you've been there.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I am passionate about Meals on Wheels. I'm passionate about our mission and our vision here at Meals on Wheels. So I'm thrilled for this opportunity. So thanks very much. So my name is Sharon Martini. I'm the Director of Development for Meals on Wheels. I have been with Meals on Wheels for 10 years now. It's a blink of an eye. Some days it feels like decades, and some days it feels like yesterday that, it just started here. I come from the operations side. So I was Director of Operations for Home Delivered Meals and used to oversee transportation, the daily logistics, the volunteering program, and everything. Then the opportunity presented to move over to development, and here I am. So now I lived it, I've walked the walk, and now I'm talking what I've walked. And it's such a great opportunity for me to be able to do this for Meals on Wheels. I'm a Rockland County resident for 22 years now, I believe. However, I still feel like there's parts of this county that are phenomenal that I haven't been able to see or participate in yet. So it's a great county. It's a small county with a huge heart and some great volunteers and some great services happening from other nonprofits in the county as well.
And you must love what you do, Sharon, because if you have been there 10 years and you feel it was yesterday when you started, you certainly love what you do.
Every day here is actually, when you get the feeling, I worked for for-profit agencies before, for-profit companies, but when you get the feeling when you're working for a nonprofit and you make an immediate impact and you made a difference in some people's, hundreds of people's lives every day, you sleep really well at night. You're doing the good work.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for sharing that, because that's indeed true. And I'm blessed to be able to say that I have the same feeling. Yeah, so it's a great feeling to have. Elisa, tell us about yourself.
Thank you. I also want to thank you, Sandra, for the opportunity, and also Sharon for partner with me on this presentation today. As a fun fact, I had the opportunity to volunteer at Meals on Wheels before I graduated, and I'm very happy to be here working with them now. So this is very, very, very nice. And again, I also feel so grateful to be doing this good job with you guys and providing amazing meals to the seniors of Rockland County. So again, my name is Elisa Kohn. I am the dietitian at the Office for the Aging, and I'll be doing a little overview about my work here and also about the other services that my office provides. But before that, I just want to say that the Office for the Aging and Meals on Wheels, for years now, we have been working hand in hand to provide meals to the seniors of Rockland County. So I believe it's actually decades that this service is being provided. And as the title of a presentation says, a knock on the door can save lives. It might seem ordinary for some people, but for those who are in need, it holds an immense significance on their lives. It not only helps them with the nutritious meals and improving their health, but it's an essential service that at many times can have the potential of saving their lives. So we are very proud of what we do. So again, we're very thrilled to have this presentation together today and in the impact that we have in the community. My services here at the Office for the Aging include overseeing the contractors with our home delivered meals providers. I also provide nutrition education throughout the county in different senior centers, including Meals on Wheels, senior clubs, community settings, and I also provide nutrition education, nutrition counseling 101 for seniors who are in need or who just want to improve their health or have diseases or any medical condition that requires specific dietary information. And then before we deep on the home delivery meal services, I just want to go over a little bit what Rockland County Office for the Aging does. So we assist seniors throughout the county with many different services. We help them with health insurance, for example. We also have help with respite. We have information for caregivers, and we provide a variety of referrals as well. So the service that we do not provide, we have partners throughout the county that will help the seniors and their caregivers to receive the service that they need. And one example, of course, it's Meals on Wheels. It's one of our main partners today at the county. So below here, I have some information. You can take a picture and call us later if you need additional information on our services, and also the website that you can access and have also access to all the information and services that we provide. So before, I just want to go a little bit, given a little overview of the background of the home delivered meal services. So the services is regulated by the Older Americans Act. This is a federal legislation that was provided back in 1965, and they are the ones that became with this program and all the requirements and regulations that counties and states throughout the United States have to provide these amazing services. So among the services of the Older American Act is the home delivered meals. I'm sure Sharon will share a little bit more about the other services that Meals on Wheels provide. So the home delivered meals is just one of these services, and that's what we're gonna cover today. For my part of the presentation, I will cover a lot of the nutrition part of the importance and all, why do we need to be so careful about these meals that we provide? Why do they have to be healthy? And all the care that we take before these meals get into the seniors' doors. So our goal is to support the nutritional needs of the older adults and also making sure that their overall health and well-being is well established. So I'm gonna share now with you a few of the key aspects of the program. So there are eligibility requirements established by the Older Americans Act for our services here. So for the service to be funded by the Office for the Aging, the individuals to be able to receive the services, they have to be 60 years of age or older. And then we look into some characteristics, including the seniors are homebound due to illnesses or disability, if they have other limitations as well, if they cannot prepare or buy healthy meals. So these are the points that we look at before we provide the meals. So the meals provide much more than only nutrition, right, and health. There's also the social aspect of it. So when a volunteer or a driver goes to a senior door, they are also engaging in a conversation. They perform wellness check, and so they help combating social isolation, right? And that's also an ensuring way of making sure that these seniors are doing well. Imagine for a son or for a caregiver that's away, when they know that this volunteer or this driver is coming to this senior's door every day to check on them, to have a little chat, it's very reassuring. So this is a great part of the program as well. And then, as a meal provider, Meals on Wheels also provides other supportive services. So both them and us, we collaborate with additional services, right? So they can provide transportation assistance, health screening. They give support to caregivers as well, and also provide information on any other services that the senior might need. And now the highlight for my presentation, of course, the nutritional requirements. So we ensure that the home delivery meals meet the nutritional guidelines established by the federal government, just to make sure that the seniors are getting a nutritious meal that have, of course, the energy they need, but also all the nutrients to make sure that they thrive. And why are the nutrition requirements so important? These requirements that were established by the Older Americans Act. These meals, they must provide meals that are adequate in nutrition, but they are also super tasty and appetizing, right? Because we won't eat foods that are just good for our health. It needs to be good for our taste, for our palate. So we also focus on that. So here I'm going to cover a little bit of the nutrition requirements and why is it so important. Well, it supports health and well-being of our seniors. It helps with weight management. We have a huge problem with malnutrition among senior citizens. So this is one of the main goals we have, to make sure that they do not lose weight and they can age well in place. We also help preventing or managing chronic diseases. Many of us, as we age, we develop many diseases, including heart diseases, diabetes, kidney problems. So this is also one of our focus. And then we make sure that each of these meals meet the nutrition needs for the client. And finally, we make sure that these clients are aging in place. It's so important today to make sure that you can age and have quality of life without having to be transferred to a community setting or to a long-term care facility. So this is also one of the main goals, to keep our clients independent. And now I'm going to cover a little bit of the requirements. So this is a very interesting part of the work we do, because we really are very careful regarding local and food safety. We are careful with the federal food safety guidelines, sanitation laws. So this is very important for seniors as we age. Our immune system tends to decrease, our immune support, and so all the meals, besides being nutritional stable, they also have to be safe for our clients. So the meals, they have to comply with the most recent dietary guidelines. So in other words, these recommendations, it's just about how much of each food category you should eat, and in order to stay healthy. So this, you can look at one side, that it is eating healthy foods, whole foods, nutritious foods, how much of those you have to eat, but also looking at the other side, the foods that we normally tend to like more, the snacks and all the very appetizing and tasty food, how we limit that. So we don't have to exclude them from our diet, but we have to limit that to make sure that we stay healthy. So the main points of the dietary guidelines I brought here for you today. The idea is to follow a health dietary pattern at each stage of life, and those health patterns, it changes. So our needs change as we age. When you are a child, you have specific needs for all the nutrients from proteins, fat, vitamins, and minerals. And when we get older, this also changes. For example, senior citizens, they have a higher need of calcium intake, B12, iron, protein. These are all nutrients that we look at when we are developing the menus for the home delivered meals. And then we also try to customize, and Meals on Wheels is really good at it, all the menus and all your preferences, right? Because again, you will eat what you like. So Meals on Wheels is really accommodating in that aspect. Clients can call them and ask for their preferences. They might try the menu for 1 or 2 weeks and then give a call and say, oh, I would like to have more of these, or maybe you can take out that, and they will be very accommodating. So this is very important as well. And then we, of course, focus on meeting the nutrient requirements. So the foods are made with, the meals are made with nutrient-dense foods. I'll go over this a little bit. And also very important, I want to show you why this is so important. This is from the dietary guidelines from 2020 to 2025, so it's the most recent one. Here we are showing the current United States intake of certain foods from citizens that are aged 60 and older. So in light blue here on this chart, we have the recommendation. So how much, for example, of vegetables we should be eating every day. The portions should be around 3 portions for men and then 2.5 for women, for example. And in purple, we have the current intake. So it's much lower than what it is recommended, right? And then when you see fruits, we have the same problem. For grains, we can see that the male citizens that are 60 and older, they are in the borderline, but meeting the requirements. Women are not. Very important here, the dairy products. This is one of our main sources of calcium and other minerals. It's also really low for both male and female. And then we have the protein requirements, which is a problem that I see a lot in my practice. Women, they tend to eat less meat as they age. It's just a matter of appetizer, and also they say that because of their palate change, they don't have that much interest in eating meats and protein foods. So that's a huge problem as well with muscle loss. So that's why it's so important for us to develop a very well-balanced meals every day to the seniors, to make sure that they cover at least a portion of their needs. And then we also focus on limiting, of course, foods that are high in added sugar, saturated fat, and sodium, which is a big problem throughout all stages of life in the United States. And of course, we do not offer alcoholic beverages. So I want to show you again here. This is now the other side of the results that they have from the latest dietary guidelines. So here we are showing the percentage of older adults that are exceeding the limits of intake of these nutrients that we should be really considering limiting them to have a better health outcome. So as you see, added sugar, more than half of the population that is 60 and older, it's exceeding the intake of added sugar. For saturated fat, the numbers are even higher. So 80% of the males are not being able to limit their intake. And for those who don't know, saturated fats, the main source of these fats are normally fats from high fat meat, butter, and mostly animal sources of food. And then sodium, here we see the reflection of hypertension. So men, they tend to be more prone to developing hypertension as they age. And as you can see here, 94% of the senior citizens, male, they are exceeding their intake of sodium. So all these main points here, when the dietitian on Meals on Wheels is developing their manuals, their monthly manuals. She takes all this into account, into consideration, to make sure that the clients will have the best meal possible. And then, so when developing these meals, how do we consider this, right? Let's say today you are having chicken with pasta and broccoli. The meals always come with a portion of a dairy product, so it's normally milk or yogurt. And then Meals on Wheels offer the options of providing 1% milk, 2% milk, or whole milk. The recommendations normally tell us to provide the clients with low-fat milk, but there are people that are in need of the extra calorie, that are malnourished, so they are the ones that should be taking the whole-fat milk because it will help them meeting those caloric needs. So the dietary reference intake, they give specific numbers for us to follow. So when you have a balanced diet, we consider that you are receiving all the vitamins, minerals, and all the nutrients that you need to make sure that your body functions well, and that you are eating a diet that helps you preventing or managing any heart condition or any health condition in general. So here is the meal. So right now, through the Office for the Aging, our clients might receive 1 meal a day, or they also might receive 2 meals a day. So you can think as if it's 1 meal a day, that will be their lunch, right? So we have to make sure that that meets 1/3 of their nutrient requirements for the day. So I brought this little pie chart here just to show you. So that means that the meal that Meals on Wheels is providing, it will have at least 1/3 of their calcium need, or of their vegetables and fruits intake, their protein intake. So this is a big chunk already of the daily need. Some clients also receive 2 meals a day, so let's consider that that's lunch and dinner. And again, then we'll double that nutrient requirement. So the lunch will have the 1/3%, and the dinner will have the 2/3% of their nutrition needs. And that includes, of course, calories as well, and also the foods that we have to limit, right? Everything is included there. And some clients, and might share this later, they will do the out of pocket, they will pay for their service themselves. So then they will have the 3 meals. And so it really depends on your needs and on what you want to receive. And here I brought an example of how the manual is developed. So it's just an example from the Older Americans Act, from their website. So we have the food groups. The main food groups, again, are protein, which are normally animal meats and animal sources of food, but it can also be vegetables such as bean. Provider might offer tofu, which is based on soy. So there are other options as well. So here I have an option, for example, for Monday, it's a roast chicken. For the grain number 1, we do a whole wheat roll, because we ask that half of the grains must be whole grains, just to provide that right amount of fiber. And then the second grain there would be an oatmeal. We have 2 options of vegetables. And you can see that every day of the week, the menu will change. And that's how we assure that the client is getting all the nutrients they need through a diverse diet. And then in the second slide here, I have the other part. So the client also receive fruit sometimes, or they can receive dessert as well, which is optional, of course, depending on your needs. But it can be a fruit cup or fresh fruit. And then again, the dairy product that we mentioned before. For the oils and fats and margarines, they also get a slice of bread, and then you can get your butter on the side. And of course, the oil and fats are also used for cooking. And then for the beverage here, this would be more part of the senior activity center. So when the client comes to the centers for his daily visit or daily routine, they receive coffee, tea, and water from Meals on Wheels. I think they have other good things going on there. When I when I am there, I always see nice treats. So it's very nice. But when they are receiving the meal at home, it's normally a juice and the dairy product, the milk or the yogurt. They also receive water, if I'm not mistaken, but Sharon will confirm this. And then this is an amazing part of the program as well. The meal providers, as Meals on Wheels, they provide medically tailored meals as well. So these are designed to improve the health outcomes of clients that have specific dietary needs due to their health condition, right? So we focus both on prevention and on the management of this disease. So these meals can be focused on clients that have diabetes or they have hypertension, heart disease, any specific needs that you have. If you have kidney problems and you need to watch for specific nutrients and minerals, or you need the extra protein because you're malnourished, all these will be taken in consideration when developing your menu. So Meals on Wheels will tailor that for you, for your needs or for your loved ones' needs. And then they also provide mechanically cared foods here. So it can change the texture of the solid foods and of the liquid foods as well. So if a client has dysphagia, swallowing problems, or even chewing problems, they offer this mechanically changed meals as well. So this is very, very nice also. A lot of clients need as the disease approach or develop this type of change in their meals to make sure that they are taking their nutrients and maintaining a healthy life. So this is one of the main goals. One of the main goals of this is to lower the cost of care and also increases a lot of the patient satisfaction in the outcomes. So this prevents seniors from being transferred to long-term care facility. And then we have discussed this part. I know it's really technical, but I think it's really important for everybody to see how much care and how much work we put on the development of these meals. So I want to welcome Sharon now again to share more details about their wonderful services. Thank you so much, everyone. You have my information here. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions or anything. Thanks.
Well, now I'm hungry. The food up there looks phenomenal. And I wish I could provide everybody a taste test right now because our food here is yummy on there.
Yes, it is. I can attest.
Yeah, we tasted. I wanted to pull the menu and I'm like, today is chicken parmesan, but yesterday was my favorite, shrimp Alfredo. So
I love that one. I love that one.
my favorite. And tomorrow's going to be pierogies and Brussels sprouts. So let me tell you a little bit about Meals on Wheels first. Meals on Wheels started back in 1954 nationally in Philadelphia. And that's when servicemen were coming back from the war, and a lot of them were injured and couldn't care for themselves or didn't have wives or anybody at home to take care of them. So the community decided to start feeding these men that were coming in and needed help. So the women typically were moms at home, would cook the meal, put it inside their carriage, and then walk it down the street and deliver the food to all of the people, you know, that needed it, that were coming down from wartime. Thus how Meals on Wheels started, actually in the baby buggy. So that's how Meals on Wheels actually started. But since then, with the Older Americas Act and everything, it's really transformed, gearing towards seniors, those who are 60 or age or older. Meals on Wheels Rockland, we're actually going to celebrate our 50th year in 2 years. So we started back in 1975. Our founder is Shelley Berger, and in her home in Spring Valley, she started making sandwiches and said there's a need for meals here in Rockland County. And she got her friends together from the National Jewish Women's Federation, our council, and they started making food and started delivering the food on out. We actually even have one of our volunteers who was one of the first deliveries ever that she made. And she, up until the pandemic, she was still delivering a weekly route. But when she first started delivering, she had white go-go boots on, and she would show up at the home. And she said we would bread and butter for everybody. And if they wanted the sandwich made a certain way, we would make it a certain way. And that's when they, I think, delivered to 12 people. And then since then, we've delivered to close to 1 million meals since the 50 years. So we've kind of exploded and expanded and been able to help a lot more people with that. So, and Eliza, you talked a lot about the nutritional values. So that's what we do. We deliver the nutritious meal. We are medically tailored meals. So when a new client comes to us, we actually reach out to the physician and we say, okay, physician, this is what we're going to be providing. Is there anything in your viewpoint that we should be providing more of or less of? So we provide, our house diet is geared towards a low sodium, heart healthy meal, but we could do renal, kosher style, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free. That's about it. For the medically tailored, we could puree food, we could provide soft foods, and we could cut food. So if you think of some seniors that are at home and they might have arthritis starting and they can't really hold the knife from, like having a piece of meat cut for you already is the difference between putting that piece of meat or protein in your mouth or saying, I'm frustrated because I can't cut this, I'm not going to eat now. So those little things make such a huge difference. And as Eliza pointed out, we try to accommodate people for likes and dislikes. So in the past, Meals on Wheels used to say, oh, you get what you get, you don't get upset because that's what we're doing. But really, we realized that's so wrong, because if you don't like carrots and we're giving you carrots, guess what you're not going to eat? Carrots. So we want to make sure you get that vegetable in you. We provide everything that we possibly can. There's alternates to every meal. So if shrimp Alfredo is not your thing, like Eliza and me, then maybe we provide a second alternate meal for you for that day. And the dairy, that was the graph that you had was very interesting on there, that how low it is on there. Several years back, we started introducing yogurt into one of those, part of our supplement part of there. I was blown away with the amount of seniors that called up and said, what's this thing you're serving me? And they didn't know what yogurt was. And so many people said, oh, this is yogurt? My daughter's been telling me to eat this for years. And all of a sudden we're delivering it and now they're eating it. So I think that's a generational thing, that they didn't grow up with yogurt. They didn't know what it was, and it was introduced, and now they're getting more dairy than they did before. So, it's a good thing. So now they're like, oh, send me over the blueberry. I don't want the strawberry anymore. And we truly we try to accommodate every single wish that we possibly can with the way that is. So with Meals on Wheels, I said close to 1 million meals that we've been delivering. Currently, right now, we deliver to about 800 people daily, all throughout Rockland County. Our funding sources are different. So we do work with the Office for the Aging, who provide meals through the Older Americas Act. So it goes down to the federal government, to the state, to the county, and then we're able to provide meals through that source. We also have self-pay meals. So some of our folks, they have the money to pay. They just can't get out to shop. They can't get out to cook, whatever situation they have, and they have the ability to pay meals. One of the biggest misconceptions about Meals on Wheels is it's only for impoverished people, and it looks like a little typical whatever hockey puck kind of meal, and that's so far from the case. We make our meals fresh daily here. We use fresh vegetables, fresh herbs. We work with Rockland Farm Alliance to get fresh farm to table food that's coming in. So we're all about the freshness that's coming on out with that. But the meals, they're tasty. And again, we provide whatever you need. If you don't like the meal for the day, there's always an alternate that's for that. The meals are made in the kitchen, and we have a staff size that comes in around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to get all of these meals ready to go on out and deliver to these other folks. We also actually partner with other folks for food, Bergen County Meals on Wheels, they don't have a kitchen there. So we provide the meals for the folks that live in Bergen County that receive Meals on Wheels. We're also in partnership with Catholic Charities for doing the warming center meals. We do the family shelter meals for the county. And then we work with some other entities too that need meals. So it's not only for folks that are at home, we actually can provide food, and we help out other organizations for the meals. I talked about the self-pay and the OFA meals. We also work with Medicaid for MLTC meals. So we're in contract with all the MLTCs in the county to provide meals for those folks who need the meals. So they get the aid assistance, and then they're able to get the meals as well. And that's really helpful because quite often it's hard for that aid to go out and to cook that meal or buy that meal and get that going. So we're able to help out MLTCs or folks that are underneath the Medicaid long-term care programs on there. So some of the things that our seniors have said about this through a home delivered meal survey is that 80% of our clients report that Meals on Wheels is the primary meal for the day. So the meal that they're receiving is the only meal that they're receiving for that day. So we're very fortunate to have foundations that will grant us money, and some folks that we know that only are getting that one meal, we're able to provide them with that second meal. So we could go from that 1/3 to that 2/3 dietary, and we know by doing that, we're going to make them healthier at that point. 94% of our clients say receiving those meals help them live independently at home. So they could stay home, and they might have caregivers, they might have a family and friends or neighbors that are close by that help them, but them receiving that meal at home gives them that self-independence and purpose, which makes 92% say, I'm able to stay at home because I receive Meals on Wheels. 94% of them says Meals on Wheels help them achieve their health and wellness goals. And I'm going to talk a little bit of a couple of private programs that we've been working on here at Meals on Wheels. And then 83% says it really helps them improve their social and mental well-being and wellness as well. So that's what the food part of things that we do at Meals on Wheels. But our volunteers also provide a vital safety check. Volunteers are we have 600 volunteers throughout the county, 200 on a regular basis that deliver either every Monday or every other Tuesday. They have a regular schedule that they do. When they come on board with us, there's an orientation that we talk about. Oh, and I'll ask you these questions afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. So we talk about the meal. They come in and they learn about a change of condition. And really the change of condition is talking about being the eyes and the ears. So the volunteer picks up the meals, they deliver the meals, and when they're there, if they notice that something does not feel right or doesn't look right or something's out of the ordinary that they usually see, they use a mobile app to deliver the meals. And in that mobile app, they go back to this isn't right, this is they have a physical problem, or their mail is piled up and it generally isn't, or the client's dazed and confused. They report that in through their mobile app. The mobile app goes directly to our caseworkers, who then do a safety check. The safety check is a phone call either to the senior or to the family member, or sometimes to 911. Or we also work closely with Rockland paramedics, Rockland County paramedic, who also go out and they do home visits before it has to go into the hospital if it comes to that situation. So that vital safety check is so important. I will tell you, there's been numerous times, well, I won't say numerous, but there has been times where clients have been on the floor and nobody's been in contact with them for 24 hours. So if it weren't for our volunteer being there, we wouldn't be able to get them services or help that they need. Sometimes it's not a good outcome, but for the most time, it is a great outcome, and we're able to get them the help with that. So we do the safety check, and then our volunteers are also the social connection. They come out and they say, hello, how are you doing? What's the weather like today? There's what's the locally what's happening around, and they make that social connection. I always like to tell a time about one of our volunteers, John, was delivering to a woman that he's delivered to forever, and she was moving into a senior assisted living facility. So he said to his wife, why don't you come along? I want to introduce you. And they brought her flowers and everything for the last meal delivery that he was doing after delivering for her for meals. This meal recipient's son was there, and they ended up talking. And with their talking, they had a lot in common. And now they go off and do golf vacations every year. So it's like that social connection, that there's so much that's happening. I will tell you that usually meal recipients will tell our volunteers more than that they'll tell their own children, because they don't want to be a burden to their children, or they just want to be able to talk, and they don't want to waste somebody's time. And sometimes they think their caregiver, they're going to waste their time by doing that. But with our volunteers, they're able to take their time. And there's been so many different stories about different relationships that have been formed through it. I like to talk about Ingrid too. I'll talk about Ingrid, then I'll get on to our pilot program, because Ingrid's one of my favorite people in the world. Unfortunately, she has passed by now. But when Ingrid came to us, she's a woman that used to work downtown, dress up every day, high heels, go into the city. She was single, she never had children, and she lived alone. So she at one point needed meals. So she came to us. We started with the meal delivery. Well, everybody that went to Ingrid absolutely loved Ingrid. So we had this one person, one volunteer that delivered every Monday. And she said, Ingrid said to the volunteer, I really wish you could get me a Macy's Day catalog, or the Macy catalog. Now, remember the Macy catalog years ago? It was a thick catalog, came out once a year.
Yeah.
I think they stopped it in the 70s. I don't know, maybe early 80s. This volunteer took her months and months and months, but was able to get her a Macy catalog. So Ingrid could go through page by page and pick out whatever clothes that she wanted. But shortly after that, Ingrid had a fall. Things weren't going well. And there was another volunteer that came in when she had the fall, and he helped her with things and found out that she didn't have hot water. And he's like, well, why do you not have hot water? And she's like, the hot water tank is broken. Oh, he said, well, we got to get that fixed. She goes, well, I really don't have the money for it. And he goes, I have the money for it. I'm going to be able to take care of it. Well, that was the Wednesday driver. Guess what? The Thursday driver was a plumber. So he said, oh my gosh, you got the hot water heater? I'm going to install that hot water heater. I'll have it on staff. I'm going to bring it on over tomorrow and get it installed. So that really just tells you how the community of volunteers, and it's just a meal, but we're so much more than just that meal. We are the life support for many people that are out there. So a lot of people who have that support, but there's a lot of people who don't have that support. When Ingrid did pass, and again, she didn't have any family or friends, it was Meals on Wheels staff and volunteers that was the funeral, and we were able to do a memorial service for her. So Ingrid was special to so many people. love Ingrid. So that's really that part of Ingrid on there. But since then, Meals on Wheels had a wonderful opportunity working with Montefiore Hudson Valley, where we were part of the DSRIP program, which Delivery Service Recovery Payment Program, where we were able to get some money from the Older Americas Act, partner with Montefiore Hudson Valley, so we could prove that somebody receiving Meals on Wheels will reduce their hospitalization. But we worked about a year and a half on the program. It was a lot of learning, a lot of working with Montefiore folks who were absolutely fantastic, and taught us a lot of stuff. So we delivered meals out to 62 people in this program, and the results were phenomenal. So first we did our intake process. We were able to get them on board. The participants, though, had to be age 60. They had to have frequent hospitalizations. They had to live in Rockland County, and they had to have poor chronic self-management of their chronic conditions. We looked at poor primary care engagement as well, and then inadequate support from others. So that's what they looked at. We had referrals that came in from the hospital, and we were able to deliver the meals. We delivered 10 meals a week to them, 5 hot, 5 cold, so a lunch and a dinner. We again did the physician prescribed meals, made sure that they're medically tailored. They received a daily safety check from the volunteers, and everything was reported on back to Meals on Wheels to our caseworkers, who were then able to give out referrals and make closed loop referrals to say, let me make a connection to you if you need that grab bar, and let's make sure it's happening. So they did a lot of follow-up on there. With it, what came along an assessment. That assessment really geared towards the social determinants of health. Because as we know, Montefiore is talking about what matters to you most. So that was a question that we often ask all of our clients is, what matters to you most? And really, it could be what matters to me most is that I'm afraid I'm going to slip and fall in the shower. So I'm like, okay, we could work with that. Let's work with the Bridges and their chore program and get you a grab bar in your shower, instantly taking away their anxiety, their worry, and making them better and healthier and feeling better about that. But during the program, we gave over, I think it was, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my paper. Over 153 referrals, closed loop referrals of making sure that they're getting the needs they are. Lots of times it's transportation, it could be housing, it could be I can't pay for my bills and I need to know what I could do for my electric bill. So it's helping with a lot of those social determinants of health and alleviating that part, leaving the hospital up to the medical part and leaving us up to the social determinants of health part. Well, the results have been phenomenal. For those results, in the first 30 days, 70% of the people were not hospitalized. Now, these are folks that are frequently hospitalized, so they would have gone right back into the hospital, but we were able to keep 70% of the people at home and living healthy and, doing things at home. Then between the 30-day and the 90-day, 100% of the people would not admit back into the hospital. So this is not only like providing the safety check and the food and the resources that the client need, but it's also providing insurance, and the hospital's not getting, in trouble for being readmitted back in for the same chronic condition over and over again. So we're very proud of these studies. Then when we had these studies, then the pandemic happened, and I've got a whole story on the pandemic. That's another day, and that could probably take 2 hours for Meals on Wheels on there. However, but during the pandemic, with Meals on Wheels of America, we were able to work out a different study, which basically is the kind of the same study, but we were able to refine some of the stuff that we did with the district and with Montefiore, Hudson Valley. So we worked with the WellSky Foundation and Meals on Wheels of America, and we were able to tweak a couple of things. We wanted to again, worked with Montefiore. We wanted to tweak a couple of things, Montefiore has to hone in on 4 different chronic disorders. So the participants only had these 4 different types of chronic disorders, which was CHF, COPD, pneumonia, and diabetes. So those are the folks that if you fell outside of there, you couldn't. But we kept with the frequent hospitalizations.
Karen, you might like to spell out COPD, CHF. There might be.
Oh, do I have to? Okay, CHF, conjunctive heart failure. COPD is pulmonary disease. Whatever it starts with.
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
And that pneumonia. And we actually, so we're not medical. We don't pretend to be medical in any way, shape, or form. That's my example of that. But with pneumonia, we had no clue that there were so many different types of pneumonia. And then the COVID pneumonia brought out a whole new slew of things for us. But with it, we also we run into some problems with Meals on Wheels because we are not medical. We do take self-reporting from our clients. So they may say we have this condition and they might not have it. Or they might say, oh, I don't want to tell you about that condition because I want to talk about it. But since then, we are underneath ROI, release of information through healthy connections. So one of our requirements coming in is that the participant had to sign up for healthy connections, where we then have access to look at their chronic disorders and we could make our chronic conditions and make sure it matches up with what they're saying. Because we all know sometimes we might lie about our own health. And the seniors might do that as well, saying, okay, I don't have that disease, let's forget and I don't have it. So that is actually gave us a lot of tools and a lot of help that we could get more help in and narrow a little bit better on. So the results again were fantastic. In the first 30 days, 84% not rehospitalized. Up until 90 days, 88% were not rehospitalized. And these are folks that had frequent rehospitalizations. So these numbers are fantastic. We're very proud of these numbers. We're very proud to bring on a new program that we're going to have to wait to discuss this a little bit later on because it will be coming. But for Meals on Wheels, we provide nutrition, we provide safety, we provide supportive services, socialization, and then the cherry on top is that we do have certain programs where we provide food for pets. We provide caring cards and crafts. So we have youth make cards for our folks. We have a grocery delivery program. We have Miles of Smiles, which are bags for mouth care, for oral mouth care for the seniors. So I could go on and on about the other special programs that we have. But really, we are just so much more than what a meal is.
Yeah. So Sharon, I wanna take this few minutes to address. First, there is a nice comment here. This is very nice what you did for Ingrid. And yeah, definitely that was, and I could feel the emotion in your voice. So that's very nice. And I think we are all wondering, right? Now I wish I was a little older and I didn't have to cook. So how does that go? Is there like you said there is no income eligibility requirement because some people, I know some people can get the meals for free, some other people have to pay.
Right.
How is that? Like let's say I want to get some of the meals. Can you walk me through that?
Yes. So if I'm interested in meals, you can call Meals on Wheels, or you can call for the Office for the Aging for meals. So the requirements are you must be age 60 or older, live in Rockland County, and unable to shop and cook for yourself. So that could fall into a lot of different categories. So some folks might fall into those categories, but they say, hey, I've got the money, or my children are willing to pay for my meal, and they could pay for their meal for that. If then if they don't want to do that and they aren't able to pay for their meals, then we'll make a referral to the Office for the Aging, who will then go out in the homes and they'll do an assessment. With Meals on Wheels, there are no means testing. We ask income because the part of the ability to shop and cook for yourself, if you have $1 million in your bank account right now and you have dementia and you forget to turn off the stove when you're cooking your meal,
or you don't have the strength in your hands to leave the pot with hot water.
Yeah. So really it's about the ability to shop and cook for yourself.
Okay.
A lot of seniors don't drive, can't go to the grocery store anymore. So it's really about the ability or the lack of not able to do it. So
what is the cost of a self-pay meal?
So a self-pay meal is $7.95 a meal. So if it's one meal, one time, $7.95. It's 2 meals a day, then it'd be $7.95 times 2.
Now, these meals you get from Monday through Friday, or do they leave also food for
Yes.
audience?
So we do delivery Monday through Friday, but we do have the option if somebody needs meals on the weekend that we deliver some. We have frozen entrees that are fresh meals made in our kitchen. We freeze them and then we deliver them out earlier in the week. We find in most cases that our seniors are busy and they're with family and don't have the need as much to have the meals on the weekends. But for those folks who do need those meals on the weekends, then we're able to, do that.
Okay. And I have to say, when in my days as a dietitian seeing patients, I have patients on Meals on Wheels, and let me tell you, sometimes they share meals with their friends or family because it's not a small meal.
No.
For some of them just pay for the lunch meal and then they eat half for lunch and half for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone out there is interested, start paying just for one. And if it's not enough, then you pay for the second one, but you'll be surprised. It might be enough with just one meal. That I know for sure from what people tell me. Okay, where do you sign up? I guess they call the.
Yes, so they could call Meals on Wheels at 845-624-6325, which is meals at the end, so 624 meals. Or they could go right to our website, which is mowrockland.org. And we have a whole intake form right there on the Meals site. So you could go right in there and then we'll have somebody return your phone call.
If you're not 60, there is absolutely no way you can buy these meals.
Well, you know what? If you're underneath the Office for the Aging, there's no way. But if you're unable to shop and cook and could pay for your meals, there's a way. We do have some folks underneath our Medicaid, MLTC, and under self-pay who are unable to shop and cook because of their disability. Then we provide meals for those folks.
Yeah, you see, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
when it's self-pay, do you still have to meet that criteria? Or if it's self-pay, doesn't matter? Anybody?
Yeah, no, you still, I can't deliver to like my neighbors, but you still have to be age 60 unless you have lack of ability, but unable to shop and cook for yourself.
Okay, so you still.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so for those of you who don't like cooking, thank God I like cooking, but if you were thinking, okay, this is the solution for me not to have to cook, I don't think so, unless you can prove that you can't cook.
Right.
One of those can't cook is like, I'm a terrible chef. I guess not.
Well, and I will tell you, if anybody wants to contact me, I would love to bring anybody in here anytime. We love to give the tour, show you where our kitchen is, show you what our fresh food is. People are usually at that point saying, wow, it's not what I thought. It's not the institutional food of years past that people would, relate it to. So I'm willing and would love to have anybody come on by and give them a tour of our facility.
That's wonderful. And I have to say what you're doing, it's wonderful. And this is what happens too. And I wish we had more time. I'll continue talking about these more and more. But, when we cook at home, even when we cook, we don't know our dietary needs. We don't meet those dietary needs. And you guys are taking care of health issues, dietary needs, portion sizes, safety. And as we started with a knock on the door can save lives. Like if somebody doesn't respond to the door, you're gonna call 911 because Ingrid is supposed to be there, and she's not answering. So again, we're running out of time, and I wish we could keep talking, but we're gonna have Sharon again soon to keep us talking to us about this great program. So Sharon, thank you so much. Elisa, thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure that this information is going to grow vital because so many people out there that actually need this service and they probably don't know about it. So you too, our attendees, please help us and tell other people about what you learned today, because I'm sure that these girls are going to be busy going forward. And especially even more when you taste those foods. I know they are delicious.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Have a good rest of your day.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
And
Bye.
next week, don't miss community chats because we're going to have a neurologist, pediatrician who's going to talk to us about either your children, your grandchildren, those accidents that happen and they hit their head and we don't know if it's serious or not. So to learn to distinguish between, okay, I need to run or I can just put ice on it. So don't miss that. And I'll see you next week. And thank you, Sharon. I will see you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.